If you like cinnamon rolls, you're gonna love this recipe. Today we're combining two classics to make one ultimate dessert. This is my recipe for cinnamon roll bread pudding. Meet me in the kitchen, let's make it happen. All right guys, first things first, we're gonna go ahead and prep our bread. Now for the bread, we're gonna use challah bread today. You could also use brioche, either one works for this recipe. You want to make sure that the bread is moderately stale, just a little stiff. It doesn't have to be like super hard or falling apart, but you don't want it to be fresh. So slightly stale is best for bread pudding, and this bread is absolutely perfect. Challah bread is very similar to brioche. It's eggy, it's slightly sweet, perfect for bread pudding. So we're gonna cut it into little bite-sized chunks about this size right here, and then we're gonna throw it into our bowl that we're gonna add the custard to in a little bit. So the inspiration behind this recipe is I feel like cinnamon rolls might be a endangered species in the food world because 90% of cinnamon rolls get eaten at the mall thanks to Cinnabon, and malls are kind of going extinct. So I wanted to rebrand the cinnamon roll a little bit, and I love bread pudding, so here we have it. All right, so now it's time to get the party started with the custard. Very simple. If you've never made a custard before, you can follow this recipe. Perfect for bread pudding. You need custard for things like creme brulee and other baking recipes. It's basically a mixture of cream, eggs, and sugar. So we're going in with a half cup of white sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar, 3 eggs, 2 tablespoons of melted butter that I'm going to add before the eggs. No real reason, just because it feels right. I'm going in with some cinnamon, nutmeg, a pinch of salt. We also have some vanilla extract and butter extract. As always, guys, you can find this recipe and all of my recipes at MrMakeItHappen.com. Next up, we're adding the cream. We have 2 cups of heavy cream that we're going to whisk in, and then we're going to add a half cup of whole milk. You can make it all heavy cream if you want. This is just how I typically make it, but honestly, if all I got is heavy cream in the fridge, I use it and the results are indistinguishable. So we're going to add that in there, whisking constantly. I'm also going to add some pecans to this recipe, or pecans, depending on what part of America you're in. That's optional as well. Just like to add a little bit of texture. But if you don't like nuts, you don't have to add them. This recipe is absolutely delicious without them. I posted it on Instagram with no nuts. Figure I'd switch it up for you guys here on YouTube. You guys are a little bit more mature. So we're going to whisk that in. And then there you have your custard. We're going to pour that over the bread and just give it about 15-20 minutes to really absorb this custard. Then it's going in the oven at 350. I really wish you guys could smell how great this smells. This is one of my favorite desserts, bread pudding in general. It's a sleeper, but when you combine the cinnamon roll flavor with the bread pudding, it's a game changer. We're gonna mix all of this in. The nuts are gonna add that texture that is really great. We're also gonna add the icing that I'm gonna show you guys next, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys, this is the part where we really tie in the cinnamon roll factor here. So we're gonna make the cinnamon sugar swirl that's gonna be layered throughout this bread pudding. For that, we're gonna melt 1 stick of butter. And to that, we're going to add a half cup of brown sugar and 1 to 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. We're going to kill the heat, let the residual heat continue to melt that butter as we whisk in the brown sugar. If you ever made cinnamon rolls, you know this step. This is basically what you would add to the dough before you roll the cinnamon rolls. Instead, for this recipe, we're going to layer it in our bread pudding, giving the same effect, same flavor profile, same everything. I'm going to eyeball the cinnamon because I've made this a million times at this point, but you can measure it out. Again, 1 to 2 tablespoons, depending on how much you really want to bring home the cinnamon flavor. I'm more of a 2 tablespoon kind of guy. So I'm going to whisk that in, and this will be what we layer. All right, guys, if you've never made a bread pudding, treat it like a lasagna. We're going down with a little bit of our cinnamon glaze here, just so that bottom has some nice coverage. And then we're going to layer in the bread pudding. So take your hands, go ahead and get messy. We're going to fill this up about halfway. Then another layer of that cinnamon and sugar and butter, the cinnamon swirl, so to speak. We're going to layer that in. Then another layer of the bread, and then top it with the rest of your cinnamon and butter. And then you have cinnamon roll bread pudding. This is going to be so good. Dangerously good, really. Shouldn't It's the second time I've made this week. I can feel it in the way my pants are fitting. But enjoy. Next up, my friends, it's time to go ahead and make this icing. Super simple, delicious, the perfect topping for this bread pudding. 4 ounces of room temperature softened cream cheese. And then we're going to use some lemon zest, a little maple extract, vanilla extract, some whole milk, and then powdered sugar. Use your hand blender to blend it all together until the icing forms. Takes about 5 to 8 minutes or so. Doesn't take a long time at all. We're going to thin it with the cream. That way we can drizzle it on top. You can warm this up a little bit before you garnish or top your bread pudding with it. Absolutely delicious. Another reminder that this recipe and all of my recipes can be found at mrmakeithappen.com. This right here should be illegal, but it's not. So we're gonna go ahead and dig in for the taste test. That, oh man, I mean, it's ooey gooey, everything you love about a cinnamon roll. The icing sets it off. We made the icing a little bit thinner than you traditionally would, but it's because we wanted to glaze it and have it, be able to run a little bit with the spoon. Doesn't get much better than this, guys. Let's get in there and give it a taste. A little crispy on the outside. That's the bite I want. Get a bite of that soft interior with a little crispy on top.